Yo, what's up guys, DUI Duelist here, and today we're going to be talking about Zings with Needlefiber, dude. Man, this is such a cool deck. I've been testing it like crazy, been doing tons of replays. I really want to show you guys the results of what I've got so far. It's been a little bit since I made a video, and I just want to get this out there. So let's just get right into the deck list, right? Standard, blah 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 blah. Metalfoes, the Frath. We've seen this before in the last deck list video, whatever. We know how the deck works. Let's get to the spice, right? We got Destrudo. Let's just get right into it, right? Destrudo, he's sick. All right, he's amazing. It's fucking Destrudo, right? He literally makes synchro summoning free. Not only is he a tuner target for making needle fiber, right? And we have a couple ways of sending him to the graveyard. We have Ravine, we have set rotation with Oracle and stuff, and we also have Foolish and Terraforming, right? It's like four different ways to send him to the graveyard, plus drawing him himself. So he's a pretty valuable card. You don't want to see him too often because you already have inherent ways to get tuner access and stuff, but he's really useful, you know? These level modification attributes too, like target like a Yang Zing, make him a certain level, then pop the Yang Zing. Like you have a lot of synchro variability and options with him and Yang Zing interactions. He's a sick card. He's just cool. He's fucking Destrudo. He's badass. I love him. We got Gate Zero. We are running Gate Zero because we have Dark Worm. That's why Gate Zero is in here. I was thinking about cutting him because sometimes he's a brick in some hands, like because we don't make as much use of him like in like a normal pendulum deck, like Pendulum Magicians. He's not as much high value, but he's not a bad scale. Scale 0, uniquely enough, it can pendulum summon Bismugear or Chiwin or Pulao, right? That's a pretty cool thing that none of the other cards or pendulums in my deck really offer. So he's not like a brick, but whatever frustration that might be caused by drawing him is outweighed by the pure value that Dark Worm Search offers. When as Dark Worm Search, you want Gate Zero if you're running a Dark Worm, right? Zephyr 2 standard, one Suwani standard. Dark Worm I want as an option for a mill because sometimes let's say you have Zephyr access, but you want a tuner and you know, like sometimes I don't know. There's times where Dark Worm comes up. Like let's say you're missing a scale and you need tuner access or Zephyr access too, because that's something Destrudo cannot, like, very rarely fills. Like if you have a Yang Zing and a Metalfoe and you pop the Metalfoe into Zephyr and then Destrudo targeting Zephyr and make needle fiber, that's technically Zephyr access, but it also doesn't like complete scales, and it's just like you just want the option. Dark Worm's just a really useful option. It's really plus. It's just a good card, right? And I think my deck's better for it by playing him. I think it's better for it. So now we have White Wing, right? And I talked about Electromite getting tuner access, and the tuner pendulum that I use as a tuner target for Electromite is White Wing, right? And the reason why I choose White Wing is because number one, good scale. Scale 1, it's pretty good. It's about like the second best low scale you can have because it's the second lowest number, right? I mean, until we get negative low pendulum scales, but beyond that, like, it's a good pen scale. The level is pretty decent for pendulum summons. I mean, like, if you consider the combination of the other pendulums we have, 4+4 is like Boral Savage. 4+3 is like Yazi or Black Rose. 4+2 is, I guess, Locust. I was thinking Horse. I forgot we don't play Horse anymore, but I guess if you want a hard make Locust. But point being, White Wing is just the best target for me. Just pretty. It used to be Luster. I was testing out Luster as a tuner target, but because like the pendulum effect of Luster isn't bad, like especially in Metalfoes, like being able to pop twice, but the fact that it's a scale 5 makes it like really kind of awkward. Because if it was a scale 8, then we'd be able to like the fact that it's scale 5 means you either pendulum summoning Zephyr or pendulum summoning everything else besides Zephyr. And the fact that you have to pick between that dichotomy, like you can't just pen Yang Zings from your hand and Zephyr or Metalfoes in your hand and Zephyr like that's just, just not that good. Just not that good. And also another big thing is he can't be used for a fusion summon or synchro summon. Like I was testing Ignister too, but we just don't really, we don't need removal. We don't need any more removal in this deck, right? So Ignister is not necessary, and you can't fusion into Mithrium, which is also kind of Monka, you know. So that's why I think White Wing's the best tuner magician or tuner pendulum target for our deck for Electromite. 2 BN. Reason why you have an extra BN compared to our TCG list is because having the Herald synchro interaction live is way more important in this deck than the TCG deck, because sometimes you don't even go for that board or that play in the TCG deck, and drawing BN, it's not all that bad. But in this case, like if you draw like both BNs, then that's like missing out on a hole in the gate, and that kind of sucks. Like you'd have to go for a different synchro play if you don't have a B in your deck, and it's just really awkward. You don't want to be in that situation where you have to like be really creative to make it work out. So we just run 2 B in. One's a Fraxi standard extra utility, because now hands where you open like Oracle, Providence, and a bunch of Metalfoes, that's actually a combo. The Needlefiber in this deck actually boosts our consistency by a lot, and that's another cool thing about playing him. He's not just a power increase, he's a consistency increase too. Then we have Ghost Ogre. Pretty, wow, a hand trap? That's new. Okay, I mean, I guess not really new, because the TCG build, our one-of hand trap was Ash. Now it's Ghost Ogre. And the reason why it's Ghost Ogre is because we're running E-Telly, and she's an E-Telly target. I mean, that's it. It's basically giving extra value to E-Telly. And also, she's just a generic, like just a tuner target. Just if you have her in her hand, now you have tuner access, right? And on top of that, like in really, really bricky hands, Needlefiber summon Ghost Ogre. I mean, that's like the last resort, I guess. I mean, let's say you get like triple hand trapped or double hand trapped, and you open subpar or something like that. The people, I mean, Needlefiber drawing or Needlefiber summoning Ghost Ogre is not a new interaction like the first thing that was talked about when the card was released. It's pretty underwhelming, but the fact that that's an option that you can do, you just, sometimes you gotta do it, and sometimes it's enough, sometimes it's not, but just having the option of having some level of disruption just from Needlefiber effect inherently is just another reason why you run it. 2 Bixie, I mean, standard. 2 Jiatu standard. Pulau wasn't really played in the Needle version of this deck for my testing, but I realized that for a lot of the synchro plays, you do on the opponent's turn with like Locust, with like Needlefiber going to Locust and stuff, like you want to be able to have like level 1 non-tuner access from your Yang Zing engine, just having a little bit more variability. And spell immunity is getting a little bit more and more relevant with like Mind Control and like Sky Striker engines being everywhere. So it earned its spot. It earned it. It doesn't really hurt having him in the deck. It's not like a Garner or anything. He's, at the end of the day, he's a Yang Zing you can summon and use for plays. So Bismugear standard. 2 Chiwin now instead of 3. Also noticed that we dropped on Bow Wow because we literally have an extra deck method of summoning Chiwin from our deck. So we don't need to run a bunch of copies of him to boost our chances of having like the Herald of Arclight synchro summon play and stuff like that. So just once again, boost consistency by not only making weird hands combo, but also reducing the number of cards in our deck that allow us to have more space for more power cards like like E-Telly and stuff like that. So 3 Painful standard, Fusion standard, blah 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 blah. I'm just gonna skip to the Foolish. I mean, Dark Worm, Destrudo, Foolish. Pretty apparent why we play Foolish. Also, in very, very, very rare circumstances, can send Chiwin directly. Like, let's say, like, you couldn't make Needlefiber, or you want to, like, do an anti-Nibiru board, say, under 5 summons, and you have Foolish. You can Foolish for Chiwin if you couldn't get him access in any other way, and they'll set up basically the same thing if you still have a Yang Zing or whatever, but that's very rare. It's almost not worth mentioning, but really, it's Dark Worm Destrudo access. Set rotation, Dark Worm, Destrudo, or Oracle access, basically. The fact that we actually just use Oracle and can shut off the opponent's field spell zone is decently relevant in a lot of rogue matchups. Like against the meta, the only thing that they were really preventing is like Area 0, which could be debilitating, could not be really hand dependent. But the fact that we just inherently just playing, we can choose to lock out our opponent's like field spell zone. It's pretty huge. No, I think that's pretty value. Ravine, pretty self-explanatory. I think we've explained all the reasons why we'd be running a Ravine. I mean, I mentioned it directly as well. So, and then standard. So that's the main deck, right? Let's go with the extra deck, the real spice, the real exciting spice that I'm can't wait to mention. So, Mithrium, standard, Trishula. Ooh, the Trishula Daddy is here, guys. We're playing a synchro deck. We're playing Trishula Daddy. We didn't play him in the TCG version because there just really wasn't the space for it. I mean, we have way more utility out of Trishula now because we actually summoned it on our opponent's turn. When the TCG build, the only reason why you would play just Trishula would be as a like non-targeting removal out for stuff, right? Non-targeting, non-destruction. But in the TCG build, we use Metalfoes Horus because since we have so much removal, we can leave the one problem monster out, and then Horus can steal it and stuff like that. Use it for a link play, stuff like that. So we're playing in the Trishula build because, as you'll see in a couple replays later, he's really vital to our first turn boards and our interruption. I think he's sick. He's sick. Fuck. Keep clicking cards and shit because I'm excited to talk about this deck, man. Trishula, I mean, damn, it's fucking Trishula, dude. You think of why synchros are so cool and shit. It's Trishula Daddy, right? Then we have Boral Savage. We didn't used to run Boral Savage in the earlier version of this build. You might be thinking, what the hell? We're talking about like synchro monsters that are badass. I mean, you have literally the best synchros, like the best like support synchros I've gotten in a long time, right? It's Savage, Omni Negates, and the reason why is because like in our original, like the way I was like doing builds or doing boards and playing the decks, like you usually don't have a link monster in the graveyard turn 1 for Boral to be live on the opponent's turn, right? The reason why we're even running Boral is not because we summon it first turn, is because it's an option to summon on the opponent's turn if, let's say, we don't have the extra monster to go into Trishula, right? It's just like Needlefiber plus whatever monster we summon from Metalfoes counter, which in this case would be Stealing, 2 + 6, make 8. we don't have a link in the graveyard for Boral Load or Boral Savage to even get the equip. So what I was running beforehand was the Tenyi level 8, which is really Garbo, to summon on the opponent's turn. It doesn't even have an on summon effect. Really matchup dependent on whether like the effect is even useful or not. It's not even a negate. But now with like some slight tweaks to the deck and stuff, you can do plays where you make Electromite and then make Needlefiber with Electromite, stuff like that. So most of the time for the synchro plan, you're very rarely you're gonna have no synchros to go into. You're either going to have Borreload or I keep calling him Borreload. But, well, he is Borreload, but when I say Borreload, I'm thinking of, like, the Link Monster Borreload, right? They're all Borreload. Whatever. You either go into Savage or Trishula, basically, is what are your two options for summoning on the opponent's turn with Locust, right? And weird hands, sometimes you can summon Baxia, and very rarely you can summon Black Rose if you have a lot of recovery cards on board, like let's say a Bismugear, you already have counter floating and stuff, and you can recover scales really easily. Then you can make Black Rose. Pretty simple, it's Black Rose. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Standard. We got ahead of ourselves now. Locust. He is our Needlefiber bounce target. And the reason, it used to be TG Wonder Magician, because I felt like she had the best synergy with her deck. Like, the fact that she could pop her own spell and traps, even like the fact that it's mandatory is a negative for most other decks that are playing Needle. But in our scenario, like, we can manually proc our own Metalfoes counter for a synchro play if, like, we wanted to save 9 pillars or we didn't have 9 pillars, something like that. But unfortunately, in my testing, like, Wonder Magician makes our board super polyable, because what happens is we have Wonder Magician plus Herald of Arclight, and in case you didn't know, I didn't know either, I thought maybe it would work out, but Wonder Magician is a spellcaster, and so they're going to super poly into Mud Dragon using our Herald and Wonder Magician. I don't want that, and so I picked Locust, because he was the only synchro tuner you could summon with Needlefiber that didn't make our board super polyable while also having some sort of on summon effect that was kind of disruption. Granted, It lets the opponent choose a discard, which in many scenarios would actually be kind of bad, kind of mediocre for an on summon effect as disruption. But like I mentioned, we have Herald of Arclight on board. Like we synchro to him first using Needlefiber Zone, and then we bounce out into our synchro tuner. So if they discard a monster, it gets banished because of Herald of Arclight's Floodgate effect. And so if they discard like a Harpar, if they discard a freaking like, you know, a Dark World monster, not super relevant, but a Dark World monster gets banished, doesn't get its effect. They're playing Dangers. Here's the thing though, discard a Danger, still procs, doesn't need to hit the graveyard. Discard a Thunder, Herald of Arclight actually hurts us more because they're discarding Thunders. I mean, damn, like they get the free banish. But the thing is, by the time Needlefiber comes out, we'll be basically almost Master Rule. We'll be almost Master Rule 5, right? And so what we can do is if we know it's a Thunder matchup, we can just synchro into whatever we want first. And then, well, like we can use Locust F and then synchro someone into Herald without the Needlefiber Zone. But as of right now, testing in YGO format, like playing this Thunder, they get a Banjo card from their hand. Also, the Trishula, like, you don't have to go for Trishula. If you know it's Thunder, you can go for Savage, right? Unless you have a really wanky board, but whatever. Let's just keep going. I just want to, get through this so we can get exciting replays, man. This is so sick. Appaloosa, we still run Appaloosa. Even in Master 05, like, we want Appaloosa to counter, like, hand traps on our turn or Nibiru on our turn. Like, it's protection, it's disruption, and we're still playing a pendulum deck, so we want cards with link zones for us to pendulum summon regardless. It's not like we're a pure synchro spam deck without any need for link arrows. Link arrows are so incredibly important for the deck. So Appaloosa still has huge value. Phoenix, like I said, like even though Master 05 is coming, like Phoenix is any two monsters lets you out like a Floodgate, or any two monsters lets you pop an incredibly impactful card like multi-roll or something. Like just the ability to have backer removal from your extra deck from any two monsters is pretty important, and I think it's pretty mandatory in order for our deck to be successful in in a lot of different matchups. And then we have Electromite Standard, Shaman Standard. We used to didn't run Shaman. We at one point in the Needle build, I just didn't feel the need for Shaman anymore, and like, cause we have Needlefiber, right? I mean, like, what is Shaman? What's Shaman? What's Shaman? Who? Never heard of her. But and instead of Shaman, we had Boral Sword, and I was thinking like this deck OTKs really easily without Boral Sword. Like we don't really need Boral Sword, so I just cut him out. I put in Shaman because Shaman is just so much advantage. Like obviously, the TCG build, like just reviving Backseat summon another thing. You pop something, that searches or summon another thing. Like, Shaman facilitates so much advantage and memento, and tempo swing, momentum in your favor. It's just incredible. Strong card. Removal, extenders, everything. Which is why I took out Boral Sword because it's just kind of unnecessary in the grand scheme of things. I put back Shaman. 2 Needlefiber, so good. We need 2 of them, right? Because the reason why is like, as you can see, almost like half our extra deck are synchros, right? Well, what is 8? It's like 2, 4, 6, 8. More than half, right? Well, there's no half or 15, I guess. You use decimals. But anyway, like, more than half of our deck is synchros, right? So having tuner access inherently from our extra deck using Needle is very important because we're already using 1 Needle for our first turn plays. And then sometimes after the turn 1 plays, like, we don't have, like, immediate easy tuner access besides, like, let's say that we have Zephyraxi in our extra deck or something, or we have, like, Ghost Ogre. Like, you just want to have a second Needle because you're not going to have a Needle at the end of your first turn usually. He's going to be bounced down to Locust, and then you're going to have, like, a Trishula in your extra monster zone. And you want a second Needle not only for link zones, but for tuners to do backseas and stuff, which is why I think having 2 Needle is extremely important. Side deck, personal preference, really. Like, this is like the best side in my opinion from
from my experience, I talked to a lot of people who are way better than me at this game, right? Like in knowledge and like all the little like meta and stuff. Because I'm just so focused on making this deck work and be consistent and play through hand traps and stuff. Like sometimes I let the meta slip past my head a little bit. I have to do some research and ask a lot of people like, what do you think this side should be? And I think this is probably what's best for this deck. Like I think this side's pretty neat right now. That might change with the coming Master Rule update. Might change with the ban list. Who knows? Who cares? These aren't Yang Zing cards. These aren't synchros. This is the exciting part. And now we're gonna intensify that excitement by going into some replays, right? So let's just get right into it. I'm gonna close this out, and then we have the first replay. Well, damn, the replays are out of order. Okay, whatever this next one is. This is the right one? Yes, this is the right one. This is standard board. This is going to be the standard board. And we're going to play it out. I'm not going to commentate too much. But as you can see, like this hand would be like combo in the TCG version of the deck. But now, like, I mean, damn, look at it. Like now, we just make Needlefiber straight up. With Zephyr and Zephyraxi. It's huge. You almost always summon Chiwin from deck and pop it with the scale and set counter. And now counter is extra value in our deck, right? He has so much extra value in this version of the deck because like there's so much level modification, level options for synchros on their opponent turn, right? So you almost always want to set counter, have counter alive. You still want Chiwin engraved. That's the second engage from Herald regardless, and you'll just see. I'm gonna shut up now. I talk too much. I'm distracting too much from the awesomeness. We are playing against Harpies, which is not the most competitive deck, but I was just testing this out like a long time ago, and like I was experimenting with the boards. This is what I first came up with and what I'm doing with right now. But I've actually done this board a lot in like older versions of a Needlefiber build with Wonder instead of Locust. So yeah, look, we have two negates. I have a second negate. Bam, we have Locust, discard Heretic Sign. It's actually pretty scary. Like we do win this duel, right? I mean, obviously, but the fact that we let him discard this, and then that's a plus. What is that? +2, gets to 3 search in the end phase. But it doesn't matter because we get the Trishula. We would have banished his Channeler and whatever in his hand, and then that's just game. Yeah, it doesn't matter if we banish. You still get the search 3, but you can't use the Harpy trap without a Harpy on board and stuff like that. So we were good. We won that duel for sure. And that's pretty much like that's a standard board right there. That's like what we're working with. That's standard. Next up, we've got this duel. This is going second, right? This is actually going second duel. And what I wanted to show you guys is how having Needlefiber changes breaking boards and playing second and stuff like that. So we're going to play it. We're going second against Thunder. And, I'm going to be honest, wasn't the best player. Obviously, he's YGO Pro. He's not going to be, obviously, there's going to be some slight misplays and stuff like that. The BLS not being protected, but all in all, like, this is a pretty strong board. Like, he has BLS Link, even though it's not protected. Like, if I let this thing live, it can do a lot of damage to my board by banishing stuff or, there's a threat. Link zones. I mean, it's there. It's something I want to get rid of before it becomes more of a problem and banishing my stuff. And then he has Titan Colossus with a hand trap as well. So that is about as good as the opening as you can expect to get from like Thunder, unless you get really nutso and like, I don't know. I mean, that is pretty good. I very rarely see a Thunder board better than this. But let's stop hyping it up. Let's just see what he does. So we got the Ash Blossom out of the way on our mill, which was, I mean, the mill, if we got to mill, would have been pretty impactful, would have forced a lot of different cards. But the really big impact we had was breaking this board, was having E-Telly to make the Thunder not be able to pop anything we had. And I think he knew because the card said waiting for a response, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, we're just going off, right? Baxia, doesn't matter what can't be destroyed. We're shuffling, doesn't matter. Boom, chained E-Telly to freaking Matrix. You don't even get the pop. Bam, lose them all, right? But we still gotta get over to kill this Black Luster. And this replay was called no Boral Sword, no problem, because we really didn't need Boral Sword, right? We just popped off with Shaman, summon Baxia back, and then like Shaman gets to pop the Luster. Now, if the Luster was made with protection, what we would have done is made 4 material Appaloosa and attacked over it. But yeah, I mean, but what was his top deck? Yeah, Bolt Thunder like he does. We would have had Appaloosa, right? We would have had like 4 material Appaloosa, and we would have had Crystron Needlefiber. We would have had Needlefiber go into Locust to make him discard. So, because we probably would have made it with these 4. So yeah, pretty good board, pretty good. Let's go back to the deck list real quick. I think this deck is sick. I think it's badass. Like it's really powerful. Let me go to that one replay. Deleted. I didn't get to show. Best board so far. Right there. Best board yet. So I don't know. This isn't. I'm still experimenting in combos in this deck. Maybe this could be the new standard. Maybe not. Depends on what the requirements are. I was very inexperienced with playing this and like what I should do. Making Electromite. Electromite's really good imperm bait, by the way. Like the amount of people who imperm Electromite when it literally doesn't matter if her effect resolves or not, because we're just getting free advantage. It's just so cool. That then like damn Needlefiber all of a sudden, and then standard board regardless. But anyway, yeah, I mean the fact that we top decked Burial, the top decking Burial fixed our misplay. We should have pendulum summoned the Snow Ogre, and then it would have been the same thing, because the reason why Destrudo fixed our misplays because we have another tuner on board, which is what allowed us to have like this link set up, and then we're actually going to use Shaman on our turn 1 board, which is not the norm. We don't usually use Shaman in our turn 1 board, but in this case we did. So that's just how the cookie crumbles. I'm just gonna shut up now because I'm just saying dumb stuff although all this combo's going on. But right now we've got 3 material Appaloosa, and then we don't have Trishula. We don't have the Trishula play, but we do get the synchro into Savage Dragon. So this is like 3 Omni Negates plus the 3 material Appaloosa, which is pretty strong. And they send a card from their hand. They get the discard, which I mean obviously gets banished. Boom. Bang, scoop. Pretty cool. So that's the deck, right? I just want to get a video out there. There's gonna be a lot of errors, obviously. Like I'm very nitpicky with uploading videos. Like I just take so long. Every little mistake I keep resetting, and I realize like it's been so long to upload a video, and the game is changing. It's getting faster. There's new rules, and soon I'm gonna have to keep updating and stuff. So I just really want to get this out there. I want to show you guys the list and how to play and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is the deck. Also, another thing I want to ask you guys is I was thinking about adding music to my videos. I wasn't sure if just having my voice talking is like really boring for you guys or hard to focus or like monotonous. So if you guys want to hear music or something like that, just, comment below. What do you think making my videos better? Eventually, I'm going to learn how to do editing software so then I don't have to restart all of my recording because of one little mistake. So this is going to be the last. I think I'm going to make this. I'm going to stay right now. It's going to be the last poor quality video we're going to have on this channel. Because then I'm going to learn like Blender or something, or some sort of like editing program. Then we'll be all set. This is a process. We're getting better. All right. And that's DUI Duelist, Yang Zings. Peace out.